All right, so what we're going to be working on today is this 6 weeks test review. So make sure whatever I write down, you write down into your journal. All right, we're going to take a look at this problem by problem. So if we take a look at the very first one, whoops, didn't mean to do that. There we go. Here's what I would like you guys to write down. Okay, write down the absolute value of a minus 5 all over 8 equals 5. Now, in an absolute value expression, okay, when it's to get it by itself, if it's being divided by an 8, what you need to be able to do is know that you can multiply both sides by an 8 to get the absolute value expression by itself. So these will cancel out, and we're left with the absolute value of a minus 5 equals 40. Now, remember, absolute value is always the distance from 0. So if I said the absolute value of x, just x, equals 40, what are two numbers I could plug in there to make that statement true? I could say the absolute value of 40 is 40, but I could also say the absolute value of negative 40 is still 40 because it's the distance from 0. So whether I'm on the number line going to the left or to the right, it's still the same distance. All right? So we have to set up two equations. One of my equations I could set up as a minus 5 equals a positive 40. But the other equation I'm going to set up is I could say a minus 5 equals a negative 40. So please pay very close attention that when you're setting these up, you can make whatever this number is, you make it positive and you make that number negative. What stays the same? Whatever's inside that absolute value expression, that stays the same. A minus 5 and a minus 5. Okay? All right, so let's check this out. We have two equations. What's the only thing we have to do in both equations to solve for a? Simply do what? Add a 5 all the way across. And if we add a 5 all the way across, what does that leave us with? A equals 45 and a equals negative 35. Now this is a solution set. So we make these little solution set brackets, and we're going to put negative 35, comma 45. I like to put things in numerical order, okay? But you'll notice in this particular question, if I scroll up, they put it 45, comma negative. This is not an ordered pair. This is a solution set, which means both these numbers you could plug in for a, and it's going to eventually equal a positive 5 if you work it out. Okay? So that's our solution set. Let's take a look at number 2. You guys can help me. All right? So here we go. Number 2, we have the absolute value of a number divided by 7 minus 8 equals negative 7. They look kind of similar, but these are different. So what would you guys say would be the very first thing that we would need to do to solve for x? What would be the first logical thing? Add 8. Yes, we need to isolate this absolute value expression. So we're going to add 8 to both sides. Now here's a quick little review. Ready? If we have the absolute value of x over 7 equals 8 minus, basically 8 minus 7, which is 1. Here's what I need you guys to remember. If I would have had this equal, let's say this was, I had to add 6 and I got a negative 1, okay? Whenever you get this situation, what do? You stop. All right, so if you got a negative, so if you got an absolute value expression equal to a negative, you just stop and the answer would be what? No solution. Okay, that's a quick little review. Okay, that's not our case. Our case, we can keep going. Okay, but if you got, anytime you get it equal to a negative, you stop. Now I'm telling you this because I'm warning you. I'm going to have one problem that's going to be a no solution. That if you worked it out, you would get two solutions. They just wouldn't work. All right? So just remember, what's the note? The absolute value of a number can never equal a what? Can never equal a negative. All right? That's when you stop and say no solution. Okay, but we can. We can keep going. So what can I separate this? I have two equations. Does anybody want to give me one of the two equations that I'm going to solve for? Good. X over 7 equals positive 1. Now, other than the person who will remain nameless, because there's a student in my class, and she will answer, and she knows who I'm talking about. She has like a little red bandana on her head. Okay? What is the other equation that we could set up that is the that we need to solve for? Go ahead. Perfect. X over 7 equals negative 1. Very good. Now, both of these fractions, right, they're being divided by 7. So that lets me know what I need to do. All I got to do on both sides, I realize I didn't give myself a whole lot of room here. Okay, so hopefully this doesn't confuse people. All right, on this side, I'm going to multiply this side by a 7. I'm going to multiply this side by a 7. I'm going to multiply this side by a 7. And multiply this side by a 7. Why? Because these 7s cancel out. And what do we get? X equals a 7. Over here, these 7s cancel out. And x equals a negative 7. Now, what would be my solution set? Negative 7, comma 7. And you can make your solution set brackets prettier than mine. And that would be your answer. So if we go up here. Oh, can't really see them. Hold on. I'll scroll down just a bit. See how they have it listed? They have it listed what, 7 comma negative 7, so a little bit out of order, but it's still technically the right answer. That would be the solution set that works. All right. Here we go. Let's take a look at, you know what, I'll throw the answers down there, okay? There we go. There's the answers. Possible answer choices. Here we go. Next one. Write down we're not all the test is like this, okay? We're just kind of gradually building up. You're going to have easier ones, they're going to get slightly more difficult. All right, so we have negative 10 times the absolute value expression of v plus 2 equals negative 70. So, is the absolute value expression totally by itself right now? No. Okay, so right now, you'll notice I might actually put one of these, put no solutions, just to see if people, choose it, because this one definitely has a solution. Why? Because what would be my first step that I would have to do to both sides? Divide by negative 10. And what happens? A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So these negatives cancel out, and we're left with the absolute value of v plus 2 equals 7. Would you guys agree now that this is a super easy problem? Okay? So now basically you can almost do it in your head. Like, what number could you plug in there to make it equal to a 7? You know, it could be a positive 5. And then this could also equal what? A negative 7. So if I wanted to make this a negative 7, I would plug in a what? Negative 9, and it would still work. Now, for those of you who are like, what the heck are you doing? This is what I did. Basically, v plus 2 equals a positive 7, and v plus 2 could equal a negative 7. And when we take away 2 from everything, we get v equals 5 and v equals negative 9, which means our solution set is negative 9, comma 5. All right? And that would be your solution set. So what was the only thing that we had to make sure you did? Divide both sides by a negative 10, and then you could set it up. Here we go. Let's scroll down. Scrolling down. More fun. Ooh, that's a good one right there. That's a good one. Number 4. I like it. I think is the last one for the review. Okay? So this is after this, we're done. Okay? So we have what? 2 minus 5. Now, let me tell you something. This is where students will mess up. They'll try to do 2 minus 5. Don't do that. Don't you do 2 minus 5, because it's attached to the absolute value. And that would be bad. There we go. So, what do you think? I should probably, for one of the answer choices for something like this, I should probably put no solution just to see if I get anybody, okay? There's obviously a solution here, right? Because you got 4 possible answer choices. Now, students, you cannot combine those, all right? But you know what you could do, that what you are allowed to do? Subtract 2 here and subtract 2 here. Because this -5 is being multiplied, this -5, that 5 is being multiplied to that. So I got to save it for later. So what happens? That zeroes out. What do I have left? -5, right? Times the absolute value of 5m minus 5. And what's that all equal to over here? Boom, -75. That's super, super, super important. Important, not important. It's important. Suffering succotash. Okay, so now what could I divide everything by? Boom, -5. I like it. -5. And -5. We need to, you know what? We need to develop code names so students' identities won't be released on YouTube. So we need to figure out your code name. Okay, I'm gonna call you Little Red Riding Hood. Okay, Little Red Riding Hood. All right. All right. What should I call you? Hold on, let me pause. All right, Sarge. What do we got over here? I'm asking Sarge because he's like the sergeant of the math department right here. All right. What am I gonna put right there? He says 15. I agree. Totally right. 15. Perfect. Now he's going to separate this sucker into two equations. All right, little t, what we got? 5m minus 5 equals what? 15. That's one of them. All right, freshy fresh. What's going to be the other one? 5m, right? Minus 5. That's supposed to be an m. And what could it also equal? Freshy fresh? No. Yes, -15. Good job, little t. All right. We can make it a +15 and a -15. I'm just doing code names right now to protect the identity of my students. All right. So what do we got to do all the way across there, Little Red Riding Hood? Add 5. That's right. Add 5. It's not like anybody's going to watch this video anyways. All right. We got 5m equals, what do we got? No thing. 20. Boom. Very good. Good job, no thing. All right. We got -15 plus 5. What do we got? Chili. Boom. -10. All right. What do we divide everything by? 5. Divide everything by 5. Boom. 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 We're just dividing everything by 5. Easy peasy. Boom, we got a 4 and a -2. Now, if I wanted to write this, I'd put -2, 4, because I like to put things from least to greatest. Okay, but the two solutions would be a -2 and a +4. We got that done like it was no thing. Got it. That was a good one. All right, dad jokes, I got them. Oh, interesting. What does this say, everybody? It says, what is the vertex of the following function? So you better write this function down, everybody. -4 times the absolute value of x plus 2 plus 5. So write that down. And we're going to use Desmos to remind you how to transform different functions. Here we go. Let's use Desmos. Write that down. Make it quick. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Come on, Freshy Fresh. Hurry up. Got it? Good. Now let's go to Desmos. Boom. Oh, wrong one. Here we go. So check this out. What's the parent function for all absolute values functions? Just what? Just the absolute value of x. That's the parent function. But if I did the absolute value of x and I put like -2, what happens? It goes 2 units to the right. But if I do a +2, it goes 2 units to the left. If I do +5, it goes 5 units. Like, how is this working? Well, literally, what number would you have to plug in there to make it equal to 0? A -5. So whatever's on the inside, what does that do? It moves it, what, left or right, okay? But look what happens if I do a +2. What happens? It moves it 2 units up. But if I say -3, it moves it 3 units down. So this would be 5 units left, 3 units down. Now, what if I want to make it, like, say, vertically stretched? You put, like, a number that's bigger than a 1. Boom. See how it gets more narrow, more narrow, more narrow, more narrow, More narrow, even more narrow. Does everybody understand that? So that's called vertically stretched. But if I want to make it wider, I do fractions. See? Wider. So how about this? I'll shift it back to right there. So I want you to be able to see the difference. See how wide that is? All right? If I want to make it almost like a flat line, does that look like a flat line to you? It does. It's not, because if we zoom out, eventually, what do you see? Enough. Will you start seeing that it, can you barely see? Yeah, we're going to go back to home. There we go. So that makes it, we call that, what? Vertically compressed, right? So if I did 1 over 10, that's vertically compressed. What happens, though, if I make this negative? It flips. It reflects it across the x-axis, all right? So if this is reflected across the x-axis, it's going to have a negative right there. Everybody got that? So let's go back and take a look at our problem. The vertex. What number would I plug in right there to make it equal to 0? Right where the negative 2. So I know my vertex is at a negative 2, comma, how much did it shift up? 5. That's my answer. That's my vertex. Now, I will prove it to you. I will prove it to you using Desmos. All right, it said what? Negative 4. Then there was an absolute value. Then it was, what was it? X plus 2. And then it was what? Was it plus 5? Was it plus 5 or minus? Plus 5. Okay, x plus 2 plus 5. Now, what did we say the vertex was at? Negative 2, 5. Can everybody see the vertex is at a negative 2, 5? Very good. All right, that's it. We're done with that one. Okay? Nice. All right. So let's take a look at this. By the way, you do not have to write all of this down. I realize that takes a lot, so I don't want you to write all this down. What do I want you to write down? I want you to write down this part right here. Okay? There's our function, and let's think about what's happening in our function. If it says y equals negative 2 times the absolute value of x minus 3 plus 3. Let's put a little arrow here, and you tell me, what does that little negative do? That reflects. So put that part reflects. I'm going to put x-axis for short, okay? X-axis. That 2 right there, we call that a vertical stretch by 2. So I'm going to put vertical stretch by a factor of 2. All right? Now, I'm moving over here. What number would I plug in there to make it equal to 0? 3. So we say 3 units to the right. So put 3 units to the right because the number is positive. So if it's plus 3, it goes to the right if you make it equal to 0. If it's minus 3, then you'd have to put 3 units left. And then last but not least, what does that 3 do? That means 3 units, what direction? Up. So I don't want you to write all the stuff down. All I wanted you to put into your journal is like have an example of what each little thing does. And why am I making a recording? Because people who aren't here in class today, at least they can hopefully go online and they could write stuff in their journal. So if anybody has a friend out there that needs to put this in their journal, you could let them know. But if you have no friends, then just don't let them know. Okay? All right. Freshy fresh, you know you have friends. Don't even say anything. All right. Everybody got that down? We good? All right, moving down. All right, here we go, guys. Do not write this one in your journal. We're just going to solve it right now. All right? It says a reflection across the x-axis. So what do we have to have in front? We got to have a negative. So which ones only have negatives? A and D, okay? It says it's vertically stretched by a factor of 5. So both of those are stretched by a factor of 5. But then it says translated what? Down. This is translated to the right. This is translated down. That's why the answer is A. Okay, so I'm not making you write it down because we already did one that had a lot more transformations. I just went over that with you, okay? Okay, so check this out. Right now, it says, what would you need to do in order to eliminate all the what values? All the y values. So I want you guys to write this one down because this is going to be on, this type of question is going to be on the the test. So check this out. We got 5x minus 2y equals 10, all right? And we have 3x minus 6y equals 18. And what do we have to eliminate? All of the y values. So here's one of the things I could do. I could take the top equation and I could multiply it by a negative 3, because if I did that, what's a negative 3 times a negative 2? It makes it a what? A positive 6y, and under here I have a what? Negative 6y, and that would cancel out if we did what? If we multiplied and then what? Added. So on this one, if you take a look at it, it says multiply the top equation by a negative 3 and then what? Add the equations. So that would be one of my answer choices. However, the other answer choice that I could do, all right, and I'll go ahead and I'll just rewrite it over here, okay, so you guys can see what I'm going to do. I have 5x minus 2y equals 10. 3x minus 6y equals 18. If I want to eliminate the y's, technically I could still multiply everything by a positive 3. But what do I get? I get a negative 6y. Here I have a negative 6y. Well, what would I have to do to get that equal to a 0? I would have to subtract to get it equal to a 0. So I could technically multiply it by a 3, and then I could subtract. All right? So right here, does everybody see you could technically multiply the top equation by a 3, and then you could subtract the equations. All right? Now, this is for eliminating what? All of the y values. Okay? So those would be the two answers that you would select. Either multiply by 3 and add, or multiply by negative 3 and add, or multiply it by a positive 3 and subtract. So this one, did you actually have to solve for x and y? You did not. You just had to know the strategies. Okay? All right, guys. It has a fill in the blank. What does it say? What is the result of subtracting the what? The second equation from the first equation. So could you guys write these equations down exactly as they appear? Just write them down. 3x minus 5y equals 12, and 2x plus 5y equals 10. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you a quick way to do this. You take the first equation, you just write it down. If it says you're going to subtract the second equation, whatever the second equation is, you just make everything the opposite of whatever it is. So instead of multiplying everything by a, quote, negative, watch what happens. I just make that a what? A negative 2x. If that's a positive 5y, I make it a negative 5y. If that was a positive 10, I make it a negative 10. And then I just do what? I just add the equations together. 3x minus 2x is x. Negative 5 minus 5 more is negative 10. And 12 minus 10 is 2. So I'm letting you guys know, do not put any extra spaces for this answer. If I was typing it in as a student, I would type in the letter x. I wouldn't capitalize it. I just do a regular x. Then I would use the subtraction. No. It says, notice, I made everything the opposite, then I added them together. Okay? So 3x minus 2x is x. Negative 5 minus 5 is negative 10. 12 minus 10 is 2. My trick is I look at the bottom equation and just make all the signs the opposite, then I add them together. Okay? You better just type it in exactly. Don't add any extra spaces or anything special. You just type in x, then you find the minus, then you type in 10, you type in a lowercase y, you find the equal sign, and you type in a 2, and you hit check, and it'll be right. Now, that's not going to be the answer for tomorrow, but this will be what it's going to be like, okay? We are going to do, you're probably going to have two parts, okay? We'll have probably a smaller part and then a larger part, depending on which day is which, okay? I'll have two different tests, okay? I'll have like an A part and a B part, okay? To break it down. All right. It says, what would you substitute into the first equation for the value of y to solve for x? So here's what I'd like you to do. Okay? You don't have to write down all of it, but this right here is important. Okay? So write that down. 3x minus 6y equals 21. Y equals 4x. Now it says, what would you substitute into the first equation for the value of y? So I'm going to highlight that right there. Would you guys agree that's the value of y in the first equation right there? Does anybody know what y is equal to that I could plug in? That's right. That's my answer is 4x. That's it. That's it. It says, what would you substitute into the first equation for the value of y to be able to solve for x? See how that would work. Ready? You have 3x minus 6. I open up a parentheses. What am I going to plug in for y right there? 4x equals what? 21. Now what could I solve for if I wanted to? I could solve for x, because this is all in terms of x now. Okay? That's how you read the problem. So now we have a system of equations. All right, so we're going to go over how to solve for a system of equations real quick. So first equation you're going to write down. Just write down with me. 3x plus 4y equals negative 23. The other one, do you guys see how it says 2y minus x equals negative 19? I'm going to rearrange it. I'm going to put the negative x up front. I'm going to put the 2y in the back and set it equal to negative 19. All right? All right, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for one and I'm going to solve for the other. So what would you guys think would be an easy one to eliminate? What could I eliminate right there? Can I eliminate anything by adding or subtracting just up front? No. How about this? What if I took this and I multiplied it by a negative 2? Let's go ahead and do that. Ready? So negative 2 times a negative x is a 2x. Negative 2 times 2y is a negative 4y. Negative 2 times a negative 19 is a positive 38. And I'm just going to write 3x plus 4y equals negative 23. Let's add these together. All right, let's add them together. What's 3x plus 2x? 5x, perfect. What happens to all my y's? They cancel out. 38 minus 23 gives me 15. Divide both sides by what? 5. And what do we get as x? We get the number, if we did everything correctly, what answer would I choose? Right there, see? So on this one, literally, all you got to do is do what? Solve for one correctly, all right? And you should be able to find the answer that you are looking for, all right? Ooh, it's kind of hard to see, but you know what? We'll do our best, all right? Okay, kind of hard to see, but we'll do our best. So it says, which of the following is a what? So, by the way, you don't have to draw this, okay? Just follow along. You don't have to draw this, okay? But watch this. This says what? 0, negative 1, right there. Is that a solution? Why? Because it's on the dotted line. 0, 3. Is that a solution? Yeah, right? 4, negative 5 puts me right there, I believe, okay? Right there. And then what? Negative 2, 0 puts me what? Right there. So what's the only answer that's going to work? 0 and 3. Okay? Now, where's our solution region? Anywhere in here was our solution region, but anything that's on this line will work. Anything that's on this line will not work. And we learned that from yesterday. Ooh, which one says which one is a not a solution? Not a solution. Here we go. Let's check it out. 0, 6, right there. That's not a solution, is it? Why? Because that's a dotted line. How about 1, 0? That works. How about 3, 5 right there? That works. How about -2, 3? That works. So the only one that doesn't work is that. And why doesn't it work? Because this line is dotted. That's why it's not a solution. Okay? All right. We have a couple more to go. All right, so right here, which one is considered to be a solution? Let's take a look. What are our options? 4 and a -5. 0, 6. -2, -5, 4, 3. There you go. All right. So you just gotta. These are kind of. I know people are probably. These are kind of gimmies. All right, they're kind of gimmies. I mean, should be that. Ooh, we got a little tricky one here. All right. By the way, if it's dotted, what does that tell you? It's not equal to, right? Okay, so does anybody know what line this would be if it was solid? This would be at y equals what number? If it was solid, it'd be at y equals 3, okay? So right now, is it shading above it or below it? Above. So put y is greater than 3. That's one of our answers. Is this shading above or below this line right here? Below. Now this line, what's the y-intercept? 2. And what's the slope? Close. -1. So this would be y is being shaded less than -1x plus a 2. So that's going to be y is less than -x plus 2. And this is y is greater than 3. Yeah, so you have to be very, hey, notice, do you see how all these are very, very, very similar? So you have to be very careful when you select your answer. All right, last one I want you guys to put in your journal. This is it. Last one. And we're done. Here we go. Y is less than or equal to x plus 4, and y is greater than or equal to 2x minus 6, and we have to check two answers. Ready? We've got to do a -4 and a 2. This is the last one, everybody. This is the whole thing right here. -4 goes for x. Where does 2 go for? Y. We got to plug them in and see if it works. Here we go. 2 goes right here. What goes here? -4. 2 goes here. 2 times -4 minus 6. Is 2 less than or equal to... Oh, it's supposed to be a 4. My apologies. No, wait. No, wait. 2x. Oh, that's supposed... Oh, wait. On this one? Oh, it's supposed to be plus 4. My apologies. Okay. I apologize. It's supposed to be plus 4. I know. There we go. Plus 4. Okay. Here we go. Is 2 less than or equal to 0? Is 2 less than or equal to 0? No. So the answer is going to be no. Is 2 greater than or equal to -14? That is true, but in order for it to work, it's got to be yes in both circumstances. Y'all have a good day.